and it looked like Paige Bueckers has broken her silence about this matchup against Caitlin Clark.
And playing against Caitlin in the W, just what was it like? What was the atmosphere like today going head to head with it?
Yeah, it's fun. Anytime we can compete against each other. We're two competitors who just want to win, and who have grown up to be playing against each other, playing with each other. So it's great, and the environment's great here. I feel like every game is a sellout, and so they have a great home court advantage. So overall, yeah, great environment.
Caitlin Clark didn't just beat Paige Bueckers. She made a statement that'll echo all season. Their first pro clash was hyped as a battle of future legends, but Clark flipped the script with a 102-83 rout. Bueckers dropped 21, but Clark owned the night. 14 points, 13 assists, 5 steals, pure command. Like the court was hers and everyone else was a guest.
Paige Bueckers, I'm gonna be real. You did your thing. You nice, you did your thing, but you're not Caitlin Clark. Let's just be clear. You're not Caitlin Clark.
And by the way, she is the best whistle in the WNBA. She hacked Sophie Cunningham and somehow was given as an offensive foul, and she fouled Caitlin Clark on a fast break. Caitlin went flying into the rim post, and the refs just ignored it.
This game was an absolute blowout. Dallas Wings didn't know what hit them. Everybody ate in this game. Let's just jump right into it.
Here's why this wasn't close. Clark dished 13 assists with just 2 turnovers. Absolute control. She wasn't just playing, she was conducting. While Bueckers tried to shine solo, Clark led a masterpiece. The hype said rivalry, but the game showed a gap. Generational greatness versus just good. No graphic can hide that.
And for all this Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers comparisons, it's not a comparison. Paige Bueckers got a lot of work to do. She's a good player. She got a lot of work to do. She need to get her team to the playoffs. Once she get her team to the playoffs, we can holler. All you Angel Reese fans out there, once she get her team to the playoffs, we can holler. Until then, Caitlin came in and got the worst team in the league directly to the playoffs off the bat. Started out 1-8, went to the playoffs, man.
Paige Bueckers has been going through growing pains while she's been down there in Dallas. They have a 6-16 record, and they simply cannot figure out a way to get it done. Now, ultimately, she performed, man. She played at a very high level. She had 21 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds. She was shooting phenomenal from 3. Paige put up a good fight, but ultimately her team just fell short, man.
Here's what the league won't say. The cameras caught a blowout, but Clark delivered a mental masterclass. Every steal, every assist chipped away at Dallas's confidence. She's been nursing a groin injury, missed 5 games, yet still rewrites records. Bueckers, fully healthy and still chasing. Indiana dropped 64 in the first half. A franchise record. That wasn't just scoring. It was Clark's memo to the league. Last year's rookie, now your problem.
Let's look at these numbers, man. Caitlin Clark, 14 points, 13 assists. Bro, I scored in the game. I scored in the game, bro. Like, come on, man. Just magnificent passing. Only 2 turnovers. She's only had 4 turnovers total in the last 2 games. Really think about that. 24 assists to 4 turnovers in the last 2 games. Okay. Okay.
Here's the twist. The media keeps forcing a Clark versus Bueckers rivalry, like Paige is Caitlin's kryptonite. But reality checked in, and in 40 minutes, Clark shredded that storyline and left the hype in ashes.
Caitlin Clark, I'm not joking when I say this. Caitlin Clark is Demon Caitlin's back. Demon Caitlin's back. Caitlin swats JJ Quinterly. Watch this here. She swats Quinterly. She screams in Quinterly's face. She then gets the ball, looks straight up, and throws an inch perfect pass to Sophie Cunningham for a layup. If she throws that pass 2 inches lower, it's stolen. 2 inches lower and that pass is stolen. Like, that is something that no other player in this league can do.
That's what we're talking about when we are referring to Caitlin Clark running the show.
Is this what Stephanie White needs to see? To finally say to herself, oh, all right.
Here's what actually matters. Efficiency. Clark's 13 assists and just 2 turnovers weren't luck. She created chances out of thin air. That's the leap from star to transcendent. The media won't say it because it ends the "is Bueckers better" talk fast. And remember her 2025 opener? A triple-double versus Chicago, 20 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals, in a 93-58 rout. While others shook off rust, Clark was already in gear, making vets look slow. She's not just good, she's the league's engine.
New York Liberty, we can beat them. We already did. The Minnesota Lynx, we can beat them. We already did. We already did. We can beat anybody if we play in this Caitlin Clark style. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. There ain't a point guard in the world that could mess with her at all. At all. It's not even close.
The Indiana Fever dictated when they run like this. I don't believe there is a team in this league that can beat the Indiana Fever at
And
all.
Hull will bring
Let's
it up.
go. Hull, Lexi Hull coming down the right
With
here.
Clark being blocked
She's
by
got the
Isaiah
ball.
James.
She's
Clark
gonna take a step
sidestepping
back, way
three.
downtown. Bam. She got it. She got it. She got it.
Stat-wise, Clark's unreal. 19 2 points and 8.4 assists as a rookie, and now she's leveling up in year 2. Vets are feeling the heat because the future isn't coming. It's already here in number 22. But the real quake? It's psychological. 10-year pros are now chasing a 23-year-old who's making their milestones look like scrimmages. That messes with a locker room. Envy, respect, denial, all brewing at once.
The Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. The game wasn't close past the first quarter. We're up by 1 in the first quarter, and that second quarter, we destroy the Dallas Wings in that second quarter. That second quarter, oh man, absolutely bombing away. That second quarter, Aaliyah Boston, 7 points. Natasha Howard, 10 points. Caitlin Clark, 5 assists in a second quarter. When her assist numbers are high in a quarter, you know they're playing Caitlin Clark style basketball. You know they're pushing the pace, pushing the tempo.
I'm surprised Stephanie White didn't have a heart attack. I'm surprised she didn't bench all the starters coming out of the half. I'm glad she didn't. Seriously.
If we take the second half against the Atlanta Dream and the first half against the Dallas Wings, that is a 40-minute span of what looks like Caitlin Clark basketball.
Here's where it gets embarrassing. Instead of embracing the most marketable star the sport's ever seen, the league spent Clark's rookie year trying to humble her. Petty headlines, bitter vet jabs, refs swallowing whistles. They didn't just ignore the red carpet, they yanked it. And yet, Clark flipped Indiana from league punchline to powerhouse. Scoring records, packed arenas, and 23 teams suddenly playing for second. That's the Clark effect.
The playmaking. Y'all see the playmaking, bro? The backdoor passes. Come on, once the 3-ball start rolling again, y'all really in trouble. You see the post game, posting up Lil Quinterly. Spin off of her, step back, midi. Y'all said she didn't have a midi. Okay.
When Caitlin has the ball, they are the best show in basketball. And it's easier for Kelsey Mitchell. It's easier for Aaliyah. It becomes easier for Natasha Howard if she buys in. It's easier for Sophie. It's easier for everybody. And then when you've got Ari McDonald, who showed today, by the way, that when Caitlin is off the floor, she can push the tempo too. That is exactly what we wanted.
Caitlin Clark running the offense, being the innovator of offense, the distributor of offense for the Indiana Fever. This is exactly what we mean right here.
Look at how her teammates thrived against Dallas. Kelsey Mitchell hit 20 on 67% shooting. Natasha Howard added 18 and 2 steals. The whole squad played like they couldn't miss. That's the Clark effect. She shifts the game's gravity, runs the offense like a chef in charge. Everyone eats. Indiana had 29 assists, 1 off the franchise record, and Clark created nearly half. She doesn't just score, she amplifies everyone. That's why the Fever suddenly look rebuilt overnight. Bueckers can get buckets, but Clark makes the entire machine purr, and that's what makes Indiana scary.
Caitlin Clark is now has the 5th most double-doubles with points and assists in WNBA history. All right, now to put that into some context, she's played 1 year plus into this season, and she's missed 10 games. Think about that for a moment.
Caitlin Clark has reached 200 points and 100 assists this season, the fastest to do so in a single season in WNBA history. Oh yeah, folks, this feels like last year, right? Caitlin Clark broke this record, Caitlin Clark broke that record, she hops into the top 5 here. Oh yeah. Today's game was at least that first half. Woo! Folks, just watch. Let me cook. Let me operate. That's what Caitlin Clark said.
Caitlin Clark showed why she's the best guard in this league. Caitlin Clark showed why, when you give her the ball, the Fever are the best show in basketball.
What's outrageous about Caitlin Clark's rookie year is how backwards the league got it. the WNBA's long-chased visibility and star power. Then Clark shows up with all of it. Ratings, packed arenas, jersey sales, headlines. And how did they respond? Not with celebration, but resistance. Envy, petty shots, and refs letting her get hacked with no calls. Instead of boosting the league's best chance at explosive growth, they nearly sabotaged it. Her impact? Massive. Fever games became must-watch. Road games sold out in minutes. Cities she visits feel an economic jolt. Hotels, restaurants, media all buzzing. TV numbers? Sky high when she's on. She's the WNBA's growth engine, plain and simple. And in that Dallas game, it wasn't just her offense. It was 5 steals, total defensive mastery. She read plays before they happened, tearing apart schemes before Dallas could run them. Remember when critics said she was just a shooter? That myth died fast. Clark ran the floor like a maestro, switching gears at will, stringing Dallas out like puppets before slicing them up. The media hyped Clark versus Bueckers as a rivalry, but tip-off told the truth. Paige wasn't a challenger, just another name on Clark's growing list of outclassed opponents. And the timing, savage. Indiana had been searching for consistency, and Clark responded with a masterclass. She didn't just steady the team, she made them look like a future dynasty in the making.
Christine Brennan just exposed the WNBA in a major way.
Christine Brennan is one of the best sports writers in the country, has been for a long time.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why? And what should have been done? I look seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it at Iowa. You see these TV ratings.
Legendary USA Today journalist Christine Brennan decided she'd had enough of the nonsense and dropped a truth bomb so massive it practically flattened league headquarters. We're talking about receipts, pettiness, and a complete gutting of the WNBA's credibility when it comes to how they've mishandled Caitlin Clark. It's a brutal look that should have everyone from the commissioner's office to jealous vets shaking in their squeaky shoes. And seriously, what do you think? Is this epic faceplant by the WNBA all about jealousy over Caitlin Clark? Or is it straight up clown-level incompetence?
It came out, what she had to say in this book was going to shake the ground of the WNBA. She's been around for a very long time, and she knows the inner and outer workings of this league. Christine Brennan let it be known in multiple interviews that the WNBA was not ready for a superstar like Caitlin Clark.
Christine Brennan, who's covered more women's hoops than most WNBA players have been alive, just dropped a book, and it's no feel-good girl power puff piece. Nope. She unleashed full-on investigative fury, ripping into how the league fumbled the generational Caitlin Clark moment. This wasn't a hot take, it was a journalistic flamethrower. And the shockwaves are still shaking the WNBA to its core.
The thing I don't get, Christine, is that in the case of Tiger and in the case of Jordan, the other players and the league around them, in Tiger's case, the PGA Tour, realized that a rising tide raises all boats and were incredibly supportive of Tiger and Jordan.
Brennan didn't show up to hand out participation trophies. She ripped the curtain clean off, exposing just how clueless, jealous, and downright lazy the WNBA brass were when the biggest star women's basketball has ever seen landed right in their lap.
With Caitlin, it seems like, for whatever reason, she's polarizing. Like, she's been hit with more flagrant fouls than any player ever this year. They tried to come at you when you were writing a story and said, don't ask questions about why people don't like Caitlin Clark. But I'm going to ask you, Christine, why is she polarizing in your opinion? Why do people not embrace the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark isn't just another prospect. She's the game changer who yanked the WNBA from the shadows into the spotlight. And instead of celebrating, the league was chugging antacids, miserable over their own unexpected relevance.
One of the big points in the book, I deal with all of this and my research and reporting, because I was perplexed as well. I mean, this is the greatest moment ever for the WNBA.
Yep.
We wish it happened sooner. Of course we wish it happened there. There were amazing players who, as you know, Ramona, I mean, both you guys know, were toiling in obscurity, the male-dominated mainstream sports media ignoring them.
Here's one of the jaw-dropping nuggets from Brennan's expose. The day after Caitlyn officially declared for the 2024 draft, she called up a senior league official to get their reaction. You'd expect fireworks, right? Hype, confetti, the works. Nope. This league exec, stone-faced, told her that Clark's arrival was the biggest thing since Maya Moore. Maya Moore. No shade to a legend, but outside of hardcore hoop fans, Maya was practically invisible to mainstream America. Most folks wouldn't recognize her in a checkout line.
From home like everybody else. And I think, guys, that actually helped me understand as a journalist the fascination, because I've covered a lot over my career and been very fortunate to be at Wimbledon's and Super Bowls and Tiger Woods and you name it, I've covered it. And I'm so lucky to have done that. And I found myself fascinated, like, who is this? And I'm getting text messages from guys who would never have watched a second of women's basketball. Good guys.
And this is where Brennan's decades of experience shine. She immediately grasped what these clowns couldn't. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another great player. She was a cultural avalanche, ready to wipe out every tired narrative about the WNBA being a niche sport. While league execs were busy making weak comparisons to stars who barely nudged the ratings, Brennan saw it crystal clear. The entire country was about to tune in for the Caitlin Clark show. And how did the league respond to this golden warning? They sat on their hands and did absolutely nothing. It's almost impressive how incompetent you have to be to blow the easiest marketing layup in sports history.
They want their daughters to play sports. I mean, good people, but just And they're texting, are you there? I'm watching. Are you seeing this performance? And that told me something that I actually was very helpful to be at home watching it versus being on press row talking to a bunch of other journalists. That like, okay, there's something going on in the country here. And it's everyone's fascinated, and people are standing in line for hours in the cold around the Big Ten, this barnstorming tour, and it's all about a basketball player who happens to be a woman.
But it only gets more jaw-dropping. Brennan's book spells it out. The WNBA suits didn't just fail to prepare for the Caitlin Clark effect. They couldn't even picture it. They were so used to being the ignored corner of pro sports, so addicted to irrelevance, that they literally couldn't imagine a world where people actually cared. It's like running a bakery and being stunned when people come in wanting bread. That's the level of pathetic Brennan exposed.
Unauthorized, which is not ominous at all. You want it to be unauthorized because I can tell the truth, unvarnished. Caitlin's quoted throughout the book. She was great answering any question I asked her, but dealing with these important issues. So you've got a 74% black league. We understand this. I mean, I'm white. Ramona, I think you guys are white.
Yeah.
We have no idea what it's like to be black in America.
And it's not like nobody saw this coming. Brennan's reporting makes it painfully clear. Journalists, analysts, even YouTube creators had been tracking Clark since her Iowa days, waving neon signs that she was the real deal. Her fan base was enormous, dialed in, and ready to pack arenas the moment she went pro. But the WNBA front office? They couldn't even be bothered to glance up from their spreadsheets.
And I say that. Let's be brutally honest here. Here comes a white woman from Iowa, and she's going to be the biggest superstar. Now, absolutely, the spotlight's shining on her. Finally, it's shining on all these other players who deserved it for years but never got it. And that's a wonderful turn of events. But instead of focusing on the positives, sadly, the WNBA players, so many of them, not all.
Meanwhile, the numbers say it all. In 2023, the Fever's attendance sat around 4,000 per game, basically the size of a sleepy Texas high school gym. Then, Caitlin Clark shows up for a preseason warm-up, and suddenly, fans are lining up outside 2 hours early like it's a Taylor Swift concert. Building security was stunned. They'd never seen anything like it.
And an antagonist. And I've argued that the NBA could use a little bit more of hero and villain to popularize the sport again. The WNBA does not need that, because for a lot of America, Caitlin Clark is the hero. And anyone that comes to Caitlin Clark's defense is a hero. And everyone that flagrantly fouls her, speaks poorly of her, acts like she's not great, is the villain, and then vice versa on that. How big of a part of the story is that when you look at the conflict surrounding Caitlin Clark?
So how did the WNBA capitalize on this tidal wave of new fans? Did they roll out the red carpet for their generational cash cow? Launch dazzling media blitzes? Of course not. They reacted like grumpy old neighbors, visibly irritated that all these new eyeballs were finally tuning in. It's as if they liked being the little pond and couldn't handle suddenly becoming the ocean. Absolutely unreal.
The Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in the WNBA.
For 5 years, basketball fans have witnessed one of the sport's most electrifying rivalries. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. Two high school sensations who took separate roads. Clark to Iowa, Bueckers to UConn. In college, Clark owned the spotlight, especially during the NCAA tournament showdowns. Even with legends like Gino Auriemma doubting her ability to thrive in the WNBA, Clark never flinched. Last night, destiny brought them together again, this time as pros, with the Indiana Fever hosting the Dallas Wings. But what followed wasn't just a matchup. It was Clark rewriting history in a way only she has managed to do, twice. Picture it. Two teenage basketball prodigies lighting up courts across America, their paths inevitably set to collide. Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers first went head-to-head in high school, both elite recruits, both game changers, yet worlds apart in style and swagger. Clark delivered jaw-dropping scoring bursts, no-look dimes, and limitless three-point range. Bueckers answered with graceful precision, a silky mid-range jumper, and court vision that matched, even challenged, Clark's brilliance.
I mean, I feel like she's played in the same manner that she, has since she was, whether we were on the U16 team together, U19 team together, whether it was me watching her in AAU. Like, she's always just been smooth. She takes what the game gives her. Her midi has always been as nice as it's been this year. She's just she just plays way older than she is. Like, she's confident, she's smooth, she just does everything at a high level, can score from all three levels. And that's how she's always played. And that's obviously translated really well.
Their college journeys couldn't have been more different. Bueckers committed to the storied UConn dynasty under Gino Auriemma, a program stacked with championships and tradition. Clark went a different route, choosing Iowa, a team with heart, hunger, and something to prove. That bold choice sparked unforgettable NCAA tournament clashes that would forever shape their legacies. In March Madness, Clark's Iowa squad shattered Bueckers' UConn dreams. She delivered towering performances when the spotlight was brightest, including a jaw-dropping 41-point display that sent the Huskies packing. Clark won 2 of their 3 showdowns, outshining Bueckers when it counted. Fans and analysts took sides, fueling a rivalry so epic it felt larger than the game itself.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin and all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
Gino Auriemma didn't hold back when it came to critiquing Clark's game. He questioned her shot selection and cast doubt on whether her style would hold up in the WNBA, especially when compared to his own star, Paige Bueckers. In Auriemma's eyes, Bueckers' polished fundamentals were built for the pros. The contrast between Clark's fiery scoring outbursts and Bueckers' effortless control became more than just a stylistic difference. It was a clash of basketball ideologies.
And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
Both stars declared for the WNBA, and fans everywhere waited for the moment they'd finally collide on the pro stage. Clark held a 2-1 edge in college, but now faced fresh questions about her transition to the big league. The hype was undeniable. ABC snatched the game for a national broadcast, knowing the entire country would be watching. With Clark battling early struggles on a rebuilding Fever squad, this showdown wasn't just another game, it was a pivotal moment for her legacy.
Talking to our player development coach yesterday, and he was like, just sent me a few things of like even Steph going through a slump. I think he was like 27 for his last 70 or something like that. Like the best in the world go through it, and I think that's like where you can find your confidence. And I think the thing I always fall back on is like, I know how hard I've worked, so you know this isn't something that's going to last, and the best players in the world go through this. So I feel like I'm getting good shots, and I think that's why it's frustrating, because those are the shots that I make.
But here's where it gets interesting. Clark's Fever were reeling heading into this high-stakes clash. They had just taken back-to-back losses to teams that, on paper, they should have beaten. The LA Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries handed Indiana defeats that had fans frustrated and baffled. These weren't juggernauts. They were beatable teams the Fever were expected to roll over.
I feel like this stretch, you know, this is a big game for us. I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. So I think for us, it's like, we got to find a way to be able to stack really good games together. And then we go on the road, and, you know, we're on a back-to-back, which is just a challenge in itself. No matter who you're playing, we play Connecticut, then we play New York. So I think Steph's message was, you know, yes, All-Stars coming up, that break's coming up, but our focus is on these 3 games that we have left. So in that sense, I do think it's critical that our focus just remains on the game in front of us. And I feel like that's what everybody in the locker room is doing.
Behind the scenes, a clash of basketball ideologies was bubbling between Caitlin Clark and coach Stephanie White. Clark thrived in a fast-paced, up-tempo game, one built on transition and quick strikes. White, on the other hand, favored a more methodical half-court approach. That difference in vision wasn't just tactical, it created real tension inside the Fever organization. The breaking point came during a heated sideline exchange in the game against the Atlanta Dream. Cameras captured every second of their intense back and forth, the emotion unmistakable. That moment laid bare the growing divide between star and coach, turning a simmering conflict into a full-blown storyline.
There is definitely something going on within the locker room, the front office. Something is off, man. This is the 3rd situation in one game we have had involving Caitlin Clark and the coaching staff and pretty much another player. And it looked like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime.
Lineup instability only added fuel to the fire. Clark was just coming back from injury, trying to regain her rhythm. Damiris Dantas had rejoined the team after national team duties, further shaking up the rotation. The result? Disrupted chemistry and a team struggling to find its footing. The Fever couldn't lock down a consistent lineup or offensive identity. Roles were still shifting, timing was off, and the offense looked completely disjointed. Game after game, missed shots mounted, turnovers snuffed out any momentum. The fast break brilliance Clark thrives on? Nowhere to be found. Even Clark admitted the team was stuck in a frustrating pattern. I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. Her shooting slump added to the worries, but she stayed defiant. "I'm never going to stop shooting," she said, likening herself to Steph Curry when he hits a cold patch. The Fever finally snapped their losing skid with a win over Atlanta, but the victory didn't fix the deeper issue. The tension between Clark and White lingered. The philosophical rift wasn't resolved. It was just paused.
You know, it can be frustrating when your shot isn't going in the way that you want it to, but then like I look at the box and it's like, I'm really 4 shots away from having a really good game, a really good shooting game. So that's where you find your confidence, and I know those are shots that I can make, and I'm never going to stop shooting. So, I mean, until I break out of it, I'm just going to keep launching, and that's all I know, and I'm still confident in everything that I can do.
The Dallas game became more than just a regular season matchup. It was a pivotal test. With Clark eager to prove that her fast-paced, high-vision style could thrive at the pro level, and Paige Bueckers standing across from her as both a rival and symbol of that challenge, the stage was set. This wasn't just a game, it was a statement. Clark was ready to show that when she's free to lead her way, the Fever's ceiling disappears.
In terms of the fourth quarter, they had all but one of their buckets was inside the paint. Was that them just being able to get into the paint and get whatever they want because of that point of attack defense like you were talking about?
Yeah, they had that and 9 free throws.
The Indiana Fever were on fire. They steamrolled Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. They outclassed the Minnesota Lynx to claim their first Commissioner's Cup title. They obliterated Aja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. 3 wins in a row. The hype was real. Everyone assumed they'd cruise past the Los Angeles Sparks, even without Caitlin Clark. The Sparks are arguably one of the weakest teams in the WNBA, but what followed was infuriating. The officiating was so atrocious that Stephanie White could only utter 5 words that exposed everything broken in this league.
We should have won this game. There was inconsistencies in the officiating. Wait until you see the second half, and I have everything.
The Fever entered this game without their brightest star, but no one saw what was coming. Caitlin Clark was out with a left groin injury. It was her 5th consecutive game on the sidelines. The team's whole offensive rhythm hinges on Clark's ability to create plays. Without her passing instincts and scoring danger, the Fever transformed into an entirely different squad.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing. And I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
But that wasn't the end of it. Damiris Dantas was away representing her country in the FIBA Americup. Her absence forced the Fever to reshuffle their rotations. They lost a vital contributor who offered both size and veteran presence off the bench. Then came the bombshell. DeWanna Bonner had quit the team entirely. 3 critical pieces gone in one brutal stretch. Now here's where things got wild. Even with all those setbacks, the Fever were still overwhelming favorites. ESPN's matchup predictor gave them a 72.9% chance to win. MGM had them favored by 6.5 points. Everyone believed their remaining firepower would be more than enough. It made sense. The Sparks are undeniably one of the WNBA's worst teams. They've struggled from the start. The Fever were fresh off an epic 3-game win streak. Aaliyah Boston was on fire. Kelsey Mitchell was emerging as a true leader. The team's chemistry looked rock solid during those dominant wins.
Howard looking backdoor for Mitchell. Not there. Shot clock down to 7. McDonald feed inside, and it's Howard for 2.
It's good record.
But something was simmering under the surface. Without Clark, the Fever's pace had dropped off a cliff. The ball wasn't zipping around with the same intensity. Boston wasn't seeing enough touches to take over in the paint the way she's capable of. The offensive rhythm that thrived under Clark's direction began to unravel. Sure, the Fever still had multiple players with all-star potential. Meanwhile, the Sparks were barely staying afloat on most nights. How on earth could Indiana lose this game?
I don't get it. Breanna Stewart, Aja Wilson, wait until you see what they did for Kelsey Plum tonight. They get all the calls. Touch fouls, anything. And guess what happens? Aaliyah Boston, the best center in the game, and guess what happens to her? She gets called for every touch foul and ends up in foul trouble this entire season and is still putting up MVP-type numbers. What happens with Caitlin Clark? Have you ever seen her get a touch foul? Phantom call? No. The physicality, that's the WNBA when it comes to Caitlin Clark. But anybody else, the physicality disappears. And it's foul after foul.
The expectations couldn't have been higher. Everyone assumed sheer talent would make up for the missing pieces. The Fever had already shown they could win when it mattered. They still had championship-caliber players on the floor. The Sparks were expected to be easy pickings for a team with Indiana's remaining arsenal. But this perfect storm of absences set the stage for a meltdown. The chemistry that had looked so tight during their win streak was anchored by Clark's leadership. Without her orchestrating the offense, the cracks began to appear. Role players who thrived in clear roles were suddenly asked to do too much. The pressure mounted fast as the game opened, with all these setbacks dragging them down.
What does it take to get a team to be more consistent, especially from you on the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. There's always got to be a high attention to knowing personnel. Oftentimes you don't get a lot of practice time, and so going over a lot of their sets, which you do. But at the end of the day, making sure we know our personnel, who we're going to run off the 3-point line, what we're willing to give up. We've got to make sure that there's a high attention to detail there.
Even with the team stumbling, 3 players flat out refused to let the Fever collapse without a battle. Aaliyah Boston was an absolute force in the paint from start to finish. She racked up 23 points and 12 rebounds in a performance worthy of a win. Boston hit 9 of her 17 shots and sank 5 of 7 from the line. When it mattered most, she finally got the ball and reminded everyone why she's such a dominant, one-of-a-kind talent.
Here's Mitchell off the screen, but can't connect on the 3. Boston offensive rebound, rolls it in and a foul. The 2 bigs bring the ball up the floor, and Hamby wasn't ready for that.
How about that change of pace? That burst like a guard gets downhill to the rim.
Kelsey Mitchell rose to the occasion in Clark's absence. She poured in 19 points and drilled 3 clutch three-pointers when the team was starving for offense. Mitchell also hit a major career milestone, appearing in her 251st game for the Fever, second only to Tamika Catchings in franchise history. Her leadership was on full display all night, keeping Indiana in the fight against a team they were expected to beat handily.
Lob inside, Boston too far underneath, shot clock down to 5, kick out Mitchell, oh yes!
But there was more. Natasha Howard brought her veteran savvy and completely torched the scoreboard. She racked up 21 points and 9 rebounds, nearly securing a double-double. Howard was lights out, hitting 8 of 11 from the floor, including 1 of 2 from deep. She sank 4 of 6 free throws and delivered critical buckets on both ends of the floor when the team needed them most.
Busted them all up. We went to the same high school.
Howard left alone, answers with a 3.
These 3 players shouldered the entire team, delivering championship-caliber numbers against a squad expected to crumble under pressure. Boston ruled the paint like the true all-star she is. Mitchell drained clutch shots that kept the Fever within reach. Howard's seasoned instincts sparked plays younger players simply can't pull off. Imagine this: Boston dominating inside, Mitchell sinking shots from all over, and Howard orchestrating veteran moves that kept hope alive. The comeback was within grasp. The crowd could feel it, momentum swinging unmistakably toward Indiana.
The up shot won't fall. Wilson, what looks like over the back. Well,
Oh boy.
jump ball is the call.
Wow. Stephanie White's upset about that. That was over the back. Wow. Watch this. That's a jump ball?
Apparently, that was ruled a jump ball, at least according to the official score sheet. You remember the play. Lexi Hull boxed out with textbook form, firmly holding her position, when Aja Wilson came crashing in over her back, swiping at the ball. Somehow, the refs called that a 50-50 ball. But you saw it. The broadcast crew was stunned. Coaches were irate. For thousands watching at home, that moment confirmed a growing suspicion. This wasn't just a bad call, it lit the fuse. It captured a deeper issue players and coaches have been quietly protesting for months. And now, thanks to this viral clip, pressure for an official investigation is building fast.
But this was a big win for the Fever because the Aces were the only team that they had not won at least one game to last season, meaning the Aces swept the Fever last season. They actually haven't won a game against the Aces in 16 games. And they did it without Caitlin Clark. This team is crazy. They are beating the number 1 team in the league first. And then they go and beat the Aces, who they haven't won to in 16 games. And they did it without Caitlin Clark, which is just a testament to how this team is finally developing a rhythm.
The players have had enough, and the league is finally starting to feel the heat, especially with the collective bargaining agreement looming. You can see it in their frustrated reactions on the court, hear it in the tension in their voices, and watch it in coaches practically exploding from the sidelines. This isn't about one missed call. It's a quiet uprising against a league that's allowed biased, inconsistent officiating to fester. Today, we're unpacking how this single play became the flashpoint of a rebellion, using the league's own data to expose just how deep the issue runs, and why the WNBA is now facing a crisis of credibility it can't ignore. Let's rewind and break down the moment that lit the fuse.
And Aja Whistle Wilson. My God, you see how many free throws that lady have? Oh my God, on the stat sheet, she had basically 30 points, but all the free throws this woman got, man, they tried their best to keep the Aces in the game, man, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter, man. They destroyed the Aces. About freaking time the Fever finally beats the Aces, man. And without Caitlin Clark.
Even the commentators, usually masters at tiptoeing around criticism, were stumbling over their words, trying to make sense of it in real time. Because at its core, the play was as basic as basketball gets. Every kid who's ever laced up knows this. You get between your opponent and the hoop, you box out. That space is yours, period. Lexi Hull did everything right. She sealed off Wilson, held her ground, and got into perfect rebounding position. Wilson, on the other hand, skipped the fundamentals, lunged over Hull's shoulders, made obvious contact, and blew up the play. That's a textbook over-the-back foul. 99 times out of 100, that's Indiana Fever ball. Easy.
Tremendous three and the league at 50% shoot the three girls for charge.
Except apparently not. Instead, the refs blew the whistle and called a jump ball, a decision so backwards, so against every rule of basketball, it felt like reality glitched. This wasn't a borderline call or some murky gray area. It was a blatant foul that somehow turned into a reward for the player who committed it, handing the ball right back to Las Vegas via the possession arrow. And that was all it took. This short, undeniable, crystal-clear clip instantly became the rallying point for every fan complaint about officiating this season. No more gut feelings or scattered theories. This was proof, and worse, it was just the most glaring example of a pattern fans had already been watching unfold.
This defense is playing phenomenal. Oh my God, it's night and day. I think that Commissioner's Cup gave them swag. Now they're swagging it out. I never seen Natasha Howard so aggressive in my life. This girl is beasting now all of a sudden. She is beast moding right now. And Timpson, the rookie, getting block shots, getting steals. Leah Boston is just murking, destroying Aja Wilson. Man, you know, I got a Wilson. I got a nickname for Aja Wilson, guys. You know what it is? Whistle Wilson. Because this lady's always getting whistles. She's the person with the special whistle, guys. Every freaking time. And then she goes to the free throw line. Freaking free throw merchant. I think she's related to SGA. But anyway, she's not playing that great.
Because when you zoom out from that one play, it fits into a much larger, more troubling pattern. Fans even have a name for it. Whistle Wilson. And it's not just a Twitter punchline. It's practically a grassroots analytics movement now. The most dedicated WNBA watchers have been tracking Aja Wilson's every minute, logging every soft call and every no call she gets away with. And this game put it all in the spotlight. The numbers are jaw-dropping. Wilson went to the free throw line 13 times. The entire Indiana Fever roster, 12 players, 4 quarters, got there only 17 times. One player nearly matched an entire team's total on her own. Let that sink in.
The Aces tried to put a little run together to start the third quarter, and Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull shut that down. They shut it down by hitting some big shots. All right, that steal led to the only 2 points that Sophie Cunningham had, but it was big. So right here, let's start Aaliyah Boston right here. That's Sydney Colson to Boston. She gonna drive into the lane,
Wilson.
and I've got to tell you, she gave Asia Wilson all she could handle.
And this wasn't just online noise. It was unfolding in real time on the broadcast. The commentators couldn't ignore it. Even as they tried to stay composed, they admitted it outright. The whistles were clearly favoring one side. One analyst put it bluntly, they're trying to keep Vegas in it. Another added more carefully, but didn't deny it. Even the seasoned pros, usually careful with their words, had to call out the obvious. Superstars like Wilson are playing with a completely different rulebook.
Asia Wilson, she got a favorable whistle in the second half, but it is what it is. Superstars get the whistle. Unless your name is, 29 points for Asia Wilson, 3 boards, 3 personal fouls, 3 turnovers, 9 for 18 from the field, 11 for 13 from the free throw line. Look at the rest of her team. 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 6 points, 0 points, 4 points, 2 points, 3 points. Dana Evans, 1 for 10, Dana Evans. Oh my goodness.
Superstars get the whistle. The commentators said it like it's just a fact of the game. But that kind of acceptance is exactly what's eroding trust. Because when fans start to believe the WNBA's biggest names are shielded by invisible layers of special treatment, it chips away at the core belief that games are decided by skill and grit, not by who the refs choose to favor. That jump ball debacle wasn't just a missed call. It was a chilling confirmation of every fan's worst fear, that outcomes might be shaped by biased officiating, not by what actually unfolds on the court. So what do you think? Is the special whistle real? Drop your take below. I want to see where everyone stands.